How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Over on the Dixie for the daily, we are pushing forward. We are breaking that 300 EMA, so that is very positive. Remember, if we continue to break that EMA, then we could continue further up. We are making a bounce off that support, and we are seeing crypto be more correlated toward the Dixie lately. That could be because we are seeing the possibility of rate cuts, so now that that is on the table, the correlation may restart for these two because they were usually correlated, but as of lately, they have been inversely correlated. Our RSI does want to round away, stochastic is pushing forward, VWAP is gaining strength, momentum is pushing with a double green dot as that VWAP pushes up, which will give that money flow further strength if that VWAP can stay in a bullish trend, which would help push us up, especially reclaiming that 300 EMA. Over on total for the daily, we are pushing up toward the top of our golden pocket. We tried to get our breakdown, but we made a bounce. This is very positive because that could try to invalidate this bearish scenario, providing we can break this channel and hold above that 674. Momentum does want to round. VWAP is weakening. That money flow is flat. RSI is trying to remain bullish. Stochastic is weakening though, so keep an eye on it. If that stochastic continues to drop, RSI will follow. Over on the 4-hour, we could be making a double top if we're not careful, so I would just exercise caution if we get rejected. But if we do not get rejected, we could solidify a bounce by making a strong green candle after this red candle. If we can get a strong green candle after this red candle, that could help push us up. That's where you would want to see for that break up. However, if we see a strong red candle, we could create a rounding top and push lower, just like we tried to do back here. Our stochastic is pushing up. VWAP is gaining strength. That momentum does want to push up due to that VWAP gaining strength, and our money flow is remaining bullish, so overall that is very positive. Over on the 2-hour, we do have that kind of flutter around that golden pocket top. If we continue to consolidate here, we could make a bull flag that could push us up. That would be the best case scenario for an attempted move forward, but again, exercise caution because if we get rejected by that resistance, that's where we could end up dropping lower. Our stochastic does want to round away. RSI is weakening, momentum is rounding, VWAP is pulling back, and the money flow is starting to sell off due to that VWAP weakening. Over on the 1-hour, momentum is pulling back, stochastic dropping, RSI is dropping with that stochastic. VWAP is favoring bearish, and money flow is bullish. So if that VWAP can reclaim bullish territory, momentum could make a bounce and keep that money flow continuing up. However, if that VWAP continues with lower lows and lower highs here, momentum would break down and money flow could follow. That would in turn start to weaken the higher time frames. Remember, that will take several candles to happen. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we are trying to push forward, so we do have a reversal arrow. We were pulling back. The reverse of that could be a break forward. I would just exercise caution. The last time we got that on a green arrow, we did head down, but I don't really watch these reversal arrows too closely. I don't rely on them. I more use these EMAs on our market cipher A. Stochastic is rounding, VWAP is pulling back. We are trying to make lower highs, so I would watch. Remember, if that VWAP breaks down, momentum or blue wave will round as well, and that money flow could go from green to red. If we see that happen, we could still see Bitcoin increase. We would just see altcoins rise against Bitcoin, which again, I think would be ideal because altcoins have not seen a very good run as of compared to Bitcoin. And we do have the ETH ETF news, which could help push us forward. I do not want to do the 4-hour there. Sorry about that. Unless you're interested, drop a comment. But over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are continuing up. We did break that 65.5 and we are trying to hold above it. I would just exercise caution. We did rise very quick. Remember, a quick rise could be followed by a quick drop. Our stochastic does want to round. RSI is pushing forward. VWAP is pulling back. Momentum is rounding due to VWAP pulling back, and the money flow is favoring bearish. So if that VWAP breaks down, we could see that money flow start to sell off. Sorry about that. Over on the 4-hour, we are trying to continue forward. So we did make that bounce off that 300 EMA. That does give us the potential to continue forward. You can see we kind of just exploded forward after holding. RSI is pushing up. Stochastic is running. VWAP is holding. Momentum is pushing forward, so the 4-hour does look positive, but the lower time frames is where it gets a little dodgy. Over on the 2-hour here, we are pushing forward. Stochastic does want to round away. Our VWAP is pulling back, heading toward neutral. Watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP breaks for a lower low with lower highs, momentum would sell off and money flow could break down. That would give us a retest of that 65.5. And if we do not hold on a retest of our 65.5, we would pull back and fill our gap. Again, I think that would be the ideal move. That could set us up for a stronger push above our 65.5 and possibly a break of that 69 and potential top of that flag area. Our momentum does want to round. We have a double red dot. Stochastic is starting to drop down, bringing RSI lower, and the VWAP is starting to sell off. So I would watch if that VWAP breaks lower here and favors bearish. Money flow could pull back, flip into red, give us a trend reversal, and that's where we could see the higher time frames start to weaken. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we are seeing the same run up. Remember, futures does lead Bitcoin. Stochastic is dropping, RSI is pushing up, momentum is rounding, VWAP is pulling back, and money flow is starting to favor bearish. So I would exercise caution. We could see a rejection there. Over on the 4-hour, Stochastic is running forward. We have our blue above orange. That is the bullish cross. RSI is maintaining strength. VWAP is pulling back though, so watch that VWAP. If that VWAP rejects, momentum could make a lower high as we're making a higher high on price, and that could create a bit of a bearish divergence that could bring us lower. That would cause our money flow to pull back as well. So over on the 2-hour here, our Stochastic is starting to cross with orange above blue. That is a bearish cross. RSI is dropping, momentum's rounding, VWAP is pulling back, and money flow is weakening. So watch that VWAP. If it makes a lower low with lower highs, we could start to see bears gain some control here. Over on the 1-hour, zoomed out a little farther. There you go. Momentum is rounding, Stochastic's pulling back, RSI is dropping. That VWAP is trying to make a consistent low. So watch if we get a lower high with lower lows from here. If we do, it's likely we would see that pull back. Remember, futures does have that gap, and gaps are 80% likely to fill. Over on the graph for the daily, we are pushing up pretty strong. We are seeing an attempt at that EMA to break. That lowest EMA tried to push under, but we are trying to hold. If we can see this hold and push forward, we could make another attempt to that 300 EMA. And if we can break and hold above that, we could regain bullish momentum to help push us toward that 31,954. Stochastic is pulling back, RSI is selling off, momentum is rounded, VWAP is pulling back, and the money flow is selling off. So I would just exercise caution, but we do have some hope here. Over on the 4-hour, we are seeing a pretty strong run up. This was a double bottom, a drop, rise, and then a break forward from that neck. So we pretty much saw that full play out. You may want to take profits if you bought in at that level and you're not comfortable with the rejection of that 300 EMA. That could still be on the table. I would watch, but we could blow past it, regain, and push forward. That's where you want to see if we're bullish or bearish on lower time frames. VWAP is pushing up, momentum is gaining strength, money flow is remaining bullish, Stochastic's running up, and that RSI is pushing forward as well. Over on the 2-hour here, we are continuing to run. We did get a little bit of a pullback, but not much. We did run very quick. Ideally, we would pull back to our 300 EMA, retest, and continue forward from there. Stochastic is selling off. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is selling off. Momentum does want to round, so watch if that VWAP gets a lower low. Money flow is pulling back, so overall, we could start to see some bearish momentum if we're not careful. Over on the 1-hour, Stochastic is rounding away. VWAP does want to break bearish. We do currently have a higher low with higher highs, so if we can break back into bullish territory and hold, we could see a bullish trend continue. Momentum would stay high. Money flow could flip from red to green, and we could run forward. However, if that VWAP gets a lower low with lower highs and a rejection of that neutral, we would see momentum start to pull back, and then we could see a retest of our EMAs and a potential sell-off. Remember, a quick rise up usually does get retraced, so that's why you want to see pullbacks on your way up. You don't want to just hit the moon at once because you could come crashing down. So over on Ankr for the daily, we are trying to push forward, trying to invalidate our bearish channel, so we will delete this. I would just exercise caution and watch very close. Remember, we did see a quick rise up day after day here as well. Momentum does want to round, Stochastic is pulling back, RSI is pushing up, VWAP is starting to push down, and money flow is bearish. So I would watch lower time frames. They need to hold bullish if that money flow is going to push into the green. Over on the 4-hour, we are retesting our 300 EMA. That is positive. Our momentum is pushing forward. VWAP has higher highs with higher lows. That is a bullish trend, pushing momentum higher and giving that money flow further strength. If this can maintain, we could see that daily start to pick up further strength. Stochastic is pushing up. RSI is pushing forward. So the 4-hour does look pretty positive here. Over on the 2-hour, Stochastic is rounding. We have orange above blue. RSI could start to pull back if that continues. Momentum is rounding. VWAP is pulling back, so I would watch if that VWAP breaks for a lower low and rejects the neutral. We will see momentum start to break down. Over on the 1 hour here, stochastic is starting to push down, RSI is dropping, momentum is rounding with a double red dot. That VWAP is breaking bearish, but currently making a higher low. Remember, if we can get higher lows with higher highs, we could get a bounce. However, if we see a rejection of that neutral followed by lower lows, we will continue lower. So over on XRP for the daily, we got that rejection of our news. We did pull back to that 300 EMA, so that's a kind of example how that is a crucial area to pull back to. This does give us the potential to see a healthy move forward. There is rumors that there may still be a meeting between the SEC and Ripple to settle early. Stochastic is pulling back. We have orange above blue. RSI is pulling back. Momentum is rounding with a red dot. VWAP is pulling back, and the money flow does want to break down. So I would just exercise caution. That daily does look like it could push lower. Over on the 4 hour, we could have a slanted head and shoulders, where this is a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder, a very elongated shoulder. So I would watch that could bring us lower. RSI is pulling back. Money flow is selling off. VWAP is bullish. Momentum is gaining strength. Stochastic is pushing forward and money flow is remaining bullish, so we do look decent here. Again, just exercise caution. Over on the 2 hour, we did break that 57 after getting a retest, so I would watch if we continue lower toward the 54. We did retest it like we warned against. Our stochastic is rounding with orange above blue. RSI is pushing down. VWAP is pulling back, so watch if that VWAP gets a lower low, breaks that neutral and rejects. Momentum does want to round away, and money flow is pretty flat. We are still bullish though, so that is positive. Just watch if that VWAP breaks into a bearish trend. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is pulling back. We have that orange above blue. RSI is dropping. VWAP is starting to drop into bearish territory with a lower low. Momentum is dropping with that red dot. And money flow is rejecting. So overall, we do look more bearish. If this bearishness continues for several candles, it's likely going to start to weaken the 2 hour, which will in turn start to weaken higher time frames. We do have Caspa on the list for tonight. That was a special request over on TikTok, so if you're watching, thanks for that request. Stochastic is pulling back. We do have that orange above blue. RSI is trying to bounce as that stochastic does want to round away. So if that stochastic can round and push up, that could help push RSI forward, which would give price action some strength and an attempt to break that 1618. VWAP is pushing down, looks a little bearish. Momentum does want to round, and the money flow is fighting for kind of control. So watch very closely on the lower time frames. If we see the money flow break away, we will sell off. Over on the 4 hour, we did break that 300 EMA. We made a bounce, and we are continuing forward, so that does look positive. That does give us the possibility to hit that 1618 and break it. Stochastic is pushing up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is gaining strength, momentum is pushing up, and money flow is bullish, so we do look pretty decent. Over on the 2 hour, we did come close to that 300 EMA, but overall we made a double bottom, push forward, and continue up. We are seeing a little bit of a retest, so if we retest this 15.58 and then push forward, that would be ideal. That'd be a little bit of a retest, a bounce, and a continuation. Stochastic is pulling back, RSI is dropping, momentum is rounding, money flow is starting to pull back as that VWAP starts to sell off, so I would exercise caution. Over on the 1 hour here, we are starting to go stagnant. After we pushed up, that could create a bull flag. Remember that a bull flag is a push forward, followed by consolidation. That gives you another push up. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding, VWAP is favoring bearish, so exercise caution. If that VWAP sees a lower low, momentum will start to break down, money flow would reject, and again, that would weaken those higher time frames. So last but not least, as there's no other special request in chat, we have Caspa. We are in a bit of a rising trend here, so that does look positive overall. This doesn't really connect too well, so that could be a bullish continuation channel. A bullish continuation, remember, would try to push you forward. We'll use a fixed range volume profile from here to here, and that will give us some other support resistances. We will want to move this back, so we'll just visibility move backwards, so that'll make it a little easier to see our chart just in the short term. This is trying to push us forward. We are above a value area high, so I would watch. It's a little hard to read. So we are above a value area high and continuing up. We could have a new fixed range volume profile in this range. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pulling back. Momentum is starting to round. VWAP is breaking down, and money flow does want to pull back. But we are continuing to hold above these lower EMAs. As long as that continues, we could continue forward. Just remember that it won't last forever, and you do see your bands kind of round away after spreading apart, just like back here. So watch out, that could be like a topping pattern there. But over on the 4 hour, we are trying to continue above EMA. Stochastic is pushing up, starting to curl. RSI is pulling back. Momentum is starting to round as VWAP pushes down. Money flow is starting to sell off, so I would exercise caution. We could be pretty maxed out right now and see a short-term sell-off. Over on the 2 hour, it would be ideal to hit this 300 EMA. We just kind of ripped away from it. We did get a little bit of a retest here, but we did just blast past through it. We did not get very many retests on the wave after blasting forward, and that would be a decent support resistance area around that 16.8334. Our stochastic is pulling back, RSI is starting to drop, momentum is rounding, VWAP is pulling back, and money flow does want to sell off. So overall, I would watch that VWAP close. Over on the 1 hour, our VWAP is breaking for a lower low, so I would exercise caution. That did follow a lower high. If we see continued lower lows with lower highs here, momentum will start to break down, money flow will follow, and price action will push down toward that 300 EMA, possibly right around that 17.4322. So overall, I would watch that VWAP. It does look like we could continue to drop. Thank you all for your requests and watching tonight. I appreciate all of you. Have a great night.